live with that. A really responsive front end, and I'll deal with the rear. And he found a way to balance it to make it suit what he can cope with and what he would like as a driver. And Red Bull responded, positively towards him. Now that Laurent Mekies is in charge, they have a man with an engineering background as their team principal, who probably better understands the engineering demands of what his drivers are telling him than Christian Horner did, who was a racing driver in his career. And I think that Mekies Verstappen partnership took a huge step forward as well. And the team principal kind of went into bat with the engineers and said, look, I know your simulations say one thing, but I think we can make this work with what Max is saying, so let's give it a go. And to me, there was a lot of hope for Red Bull for the future out of this, and the future this season too. And that, maybe Max now has, not that he didn't have faith beforehand, but a lot of faith in Laurent Mekies, that he's a team principal that will listen to what he's saying. And he's been very critical of this car. 12 months ago, this was a monster of a car, and not in a good way. Scary closet monster that's going to keep you up in the middle of the night. But, together they might now forge a very good partnership for Red Bull, where Max feels he's being listened to, and we might see a little bit more of this. And isn't that great for the rest of this season as well? We got a title battle. Max is probably out of that title battle. He's just under 4 wins behind, but he might be able to get in amongst the McLaren drivers and really cause problems for the papaya rules, or the Lando Oscar dominance. We'll see at tracks that are more suited to the McLaren car. But I think this is absolutely fascinating going forward now.
Careful, because Monza is such an outlier in terms of car wing setup, car setup. So we can't read too much into the performance of that now for going forward for these other tracks. But nevertheless, what I also heard that Laurent, being an engineer, actually had an impact now on this decision that Max was able to make, because he was as the most senior person in the room with the engineering competence, was seeing this dynamic of the engineers seeing their simulation number and Max wanting to go a different route, and in the end called the shot and said, let's go with Max's feeling out there, and gave him the freedom, to go down his route, which proved to be right. So it was an example of where Laurent really had a first really big impact on actual performance and winning a race together as a team.
Are you both saying that didn't happen then under Christian? Surely,
I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I think Laurent has got the expertise, the background, and the knowledge to have that conversation with the engineers, and the engineers then respect Laurent's views, because Christian, for all his strengths, isn't an engineer. And I think sometimes you need someone, when you're having that engineering conversation, your senior person, if they understand all the engineering principles, is going to be able to call the shot, in Max's favor this time, and not say, well, actually, Max, the engineers probably know a bit better. Let's go with them. I'm not saying that happened before, but it definitely didn't happen this time around.
Yeah, no criticism, of course, to Christian, who's been an awesome leader and one of the greatest we've seen in our sport.
I'd expect nothing less, not least as we've talked about making this happen for a long time now. Grosjean added, I'm incredibly grateful to Gene Haas and to Io Komatsu for inviting me to participate in the TPC at Mugello. To say I'm excited to get back behind the wheel of a Formula One car would naturally be an understatement. I really can't believe it's been almost 5 years, but to come back and have this outing with my old team is truly something special. I'm excited to see everyone. I'm sure we'll spend a bit of time reminiscing about the old days, but I'm also keen to be of use regarding the trackside agenda with the VF23. It's great the team now has the TPC program as part of its ongoing development. Finally, my kids had designed my helmet for what was meant to be my final Grand Prix in Abu Dhabi back in 2020. I'm at last going to be able to give it a go in a Formula One car on Friday. Ex-IndyCar driver and F1 TV broadcaster James Hinchcliffe will get his first chance to drive a Formula One car on Friday when he drives the same VF23 as part of a feature for F1 TV. Grosjean to drive F1 car for first time since 2020 Bahrain GP crash and special outing with Haas 5 years on from their curtailed last race together. There will be a special reunion for Romain Grosjean and Haas this week. Romain Grosjean will drive a Formula One car for the first time since his dramatic crash in the 2020 Bahrain Grand Prix when he gets behind the wheel of a 2023 spec Haas during a test at Mugello on Friday. Grosjean's Haas was engulfed in flames when he crashed through the barriers on the opening lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix in 2020, leaving him with extensive burns on both hands. It turned out to be his 179th and final Grand Prix, with the Frenchman going on to compete in the IndyCar Series in America, taking 6 podiums and 3 poles over the course of 4 seasons. On Friday, he will return to a Formula One car following an invite from his former team Haas, with whom he spent 5 seasons competing between 2016 and 2020, when he drives the VF23 in a testing of previous car TPC test. Haas team principal Io Komatsu, who was Grosjean's race engineer when they worked together at Lotus, will once again serve as his race engineer at Mugello. I'm absolutely thrilled to be welcoming Romain Grosjean back into a Formula One car for the first time in 5 years, but especially proud he's returning in one of our cars. It's only fitting, said Komatsu. Romain and I have worked together throughout his entire Formula One career, so this test at Mugello is of particular significance to us both. I'm delighted he embraced. I'd expect nothing less, not least as we've talked about making this happen for a long time now. Grosjean added, I'm incredibly grateful to Gene Haas and to Io Komatsu for inviting me to participate in the TPC at Mugello. To say I'm excited to get back behind the wheel of a Formula One car would naturally be an understatement. I really can't believe it's been almost 5 years, but to come back and have this outing with my old team is truly something special. I'm excited to see everyone. I'm sure we'll spend a bit of time reminiscing about the old days, but I'm also keen to be of use regarding the trackside agenda with the VF23. It's great the team now has the TPC program as part of its ongoing development. Finally, my kids had designed my helmet for what was meant to be my final Grand Prix in Abu Dhabi back in 2020. I'm at last going to be able to give it a go in a Formula One car on Friday. Ex-IndyCar driver and F1 TV broadcaster James Hinchcliffe will get his first chance to drive a Formula One car on Friday when he drives the same VF23 as part of a feature for F1 TV.